In this video, you will understand the key concepts of nesting families together to form a more complex assembly. Shared parameters are used to control all of the nested families. The shared parameters are then used to document and tag the families within a project. Nested families are a great way to build and control more complex families from simpler elements. In the example shown here, a bookcase is assembled from a carcass and a panel. The carcass and panel families are fully parametric. The parameters of each element are associated and controlled from the bookcase family, which is called the host. Using this methodology, the elements can be reused to build other types of families. This makes the control and creation of families much simpler. Go ahead and open up the file bookcase.rfa. This is a family file, and you can see it opens in the plan view. We'll begin by opening up an elevation. In the project browser, under the Elevations folder, let's double-click on Placement Side. In this particular elevation view, you can see that we already have a parameter assigned to control the shelf spacing. However, the shelf width is currently unassigned. Let's go ahead and select the dimension that's reporting 3 feet, and on the context ribbon in the Label drop-down menu, we'll assign Unit Width. We can now clearly see that unit width has been assigned, and that will now drive the width of our unit. Let's now go ahead and set the unit depth as well. This will be located in the left elevation. So once again, in the Elevations folder, let's double click on left. Here we can just see one dimension reporting the current depth of our unit, which is 10 inches. We'll select that dimension, and again, in the context ribbon, we'll go to the Label drop-down menu and assign unit depth. Again, we can now see that that parameter has been assigned. Let's now investigate how this family has been constructed. In the project browser, under the 3D Views folder, let's double-click on View 1. If we move our cursor over to this area of the family, you can see clearly that this is a generic model, and in fact it's another family called Carcass that's been nested in. If we move over one of the shelves, I can clearly see here that all these shelves form parts of an array group. However, if we want to see the family inside that, we can simply cycle the selection by pressing the Tab key. Now we can see that this is again a generic model, and this one is called Panel. Let's also see another method of seeing what nested families we have loaded into this bookcase family. To have a look at that, let's go into our project browser, and we'll expand the Families folder. We'll then expand Generic Models, and as we've already identified, we can clearly see here we have Carcass and Panel nested and loaded into our Bookcase RFA family. Now, of course, this whole family is parametric, so if we change the width, we would expect to see both of those nested families reacting to that change. To see this, on the Modify ribbon, let's go ahead and select Family Types. In the Family Types dialog, we can clearly see here that the unit width is currently set to 3 feet. Let's now change this to 4 feet, and we'll select Apply. As we would have expected, we can see that the Carcass family and the Panel family have both reacted to that change. So let's now see how that change has been propagated through to those nested families. We'll click OK to the Family Types dialog, and we'll begin by going to the Panel family, and you can see here that we have the actual family name called Panel, and then we have the family type here. We'll right mouse click over that family type and select Type Properties from the context menu. In the Type Properties dialog, we can clearly see that we have 3 dimensions controlling the panel. All of these dimensions, apart from panel width, have been associated to other parameters. Let's investigate, for example, the panel length. We can see here that the present value is 3 feet and 10 inches. We'd also notice that the value is greyed out. If we move to the right-hand side, we can see that we have a button here called Associated Family Parameter, and we have an equal symbol displayed on that button. That's telling us that this is associated to a family parameter. Let's go ahead and select that Associate Family Parameter button. In the Associate Family Parameter dialog, I can clearly see here that this is associated to our shared parameter called shelf width. Now you'll notice here that we have panel width. That's essentially going to equal the unit depth. At the minute, that's not associated. So let's go ahead and associate that. So we'll select the Associate Family Parameter button, and here we'll select unit depth. We'll click OK. And we can now see that association has been formed. We'll select OK to the Type Properties dialog. And once again, on the Modify ribbon in the Properties panel, we'll select Family Types. Here, I'm going to change the depth now from 10 inches to 6 inches and select Apply. We can now clearly see that both the carcass and the panels have reacted to that change. Let's set the unit depth back to 10 inches. And then select Apply. We'll then click OK to the Family Types dialog. Let's now investigate how this bookcase family will work in the project environment. So we'll begin by opening up a project. So on the Quick Access toolbar, let's go ahead and select Open. In the Open dialog box, let's go ahead and select the Shared Parameter project and select Open. The project opens in a plan view, and you can already see that we have a number of shelving units placed out along walls. We'll begin by opening an elevation. In the project browser, under the Elevations folder, let's double-click on Bookcases Elevation 1. Here we can see that we have a variety of different family types added to the project. We'll now go ahead and tag these. Go ahead and select the Annotate ribbon. And in the Tag panel, go ahead and select Tag by Category. As we move our cursor over the bookcase families, we can now see our tag being placed out. The tag is reporting on the shared parameters that have been used to set up this family. So let's go ahead and place a tag here. We'll then place another tag on this family here, and another one on this family here. To release the tag command, on the context ribbon, let's go ahead and select Modify. The advantage of using shared parameters within our tags is that if we go ahead and create a custom family, the tag should update. Let's test it on this family here. So we can currently see that this particular shelving unit is 60 inches high, 36 inches wide, and has a depth of 10 inches. Let's now change some of these parameters and create a new type. So we'll select the bookcase, and in the Properties palette, we'll go ahead and select Edit Type. In the Type Properties dialog, we'll select Duplicate to make a copy of this family type. So for the name, we'll type in 36 inches by 50 inches by 8 inches, and then we'll go ahead and click OK. And we can now assign those dimensions to the unit width, height, and depth. So for the unit width, this will stay the same. The unit height will be adjusted to 50 inches, and the unit depth will now become 8 inches. Now normally a tag will report on the type name of the family. However, this tag is comprised of the shared parameters and will always report on the actual dimensions that we've used to build the bookcase. If we click OK, we'll then see the family change, and more importantly, we can see that our tag has updated successfully. Another benefit to using shared parameters within our families is the ability to schedule off all of these values. In the project browser under Schedules Quantities folder, let's double click on Bookcases. Let's now zoom in to this schedule. To do this, I'll hold down the Control key and roll the mouse wheel away from me. So we can now clearly see that we've been able to schedule off all of the bookcases in this project, but more importantly, I can then report out on the unit width, height, depth, number of shelves, the finish, and the cost. So this has been achieved with the use of shared parameters. You'll also notice here that our custom family has now been reported correctly within our schedule.